Hello students, welcome back for the course of MBA Semester 4 International Marketing Environment. Today is our lecture number 789 and the topic of our today's discussion is trade barriers and general agreement on tariff and trade, that is called as GATT. So this is called as a GATT agreement. So the primary objective of our today's session is help to understand what do you mean by trade barriers and general agreement on tariff and trade, that means GATT agreement. So the contents of our today's session are trade barriers, types of barriers. Here we are going to discuss about tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. This is called as TBs and NTBs. Types of TBs and types of NTBs. Impact of non-tariff barriers. Then we are going to start the discussion on General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, that is called as GATT. It is the first international economic institution which was set up to promote the international trade. Purpose of GATT and different provisions under this GATT agreement. So let us start a discussion on trade barriers. As we all know that we are studying this international marketing environment, and that is mostly related with the international trade, and this international trade happens in between the various countries. And when such kind of international trade happens, so each and every individual countries impose some different sort of restrictions on each other. That restrictions are called as barriers. Okay, sometimes these barriers, sometimes these restrictions, either it may be helpful for the promotion of international trade, or sometimes it will hamper the growth of international trade. So these international trade barriers, these are called as international trade barriers. While talking about these international trade barriers, so these are nothing but the government imposed restrictions, particularly for the flow of international goods and services. So those countries, those who are being involved in the international trade related activities with respect to various goods or services, we call them as commodities even over here. So countries those who are involved in the international trade, either they are by means of using export or import. So these countries, they are imposing some sort of restrictions on certain kind of commodities or goods or services on each other. So that restrictions are called as trade barriers. Sometimes we call different sort of governmental rules, regulations, policies, okay, that will be also acting as a trade barrier, okay, and that may be sometimes helpful to promote the international trade, as well as it will hamper the growth of the international trade. So these trade barriers in general, it is called as the different sort of restrictions that are being imposed on the different countries, those who are being involved in the international trade related activities. We do find that there are two types of trade barriers. First one is called as tariff barriers. So that tariff is nothing but the different types of taxes and duties that are being imposed on the promotion of that international trade, okay, on the different countries, those who are being involved in the international trade. So first one is called as tariff barriers. So there are different types of barriers. Let us see this figure. Tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. In case of tariff barriers, the government of the respective country, okay, they impose some sort of taxes and duties in the form of, okay, export duty or import duty. In general it is called as export tariff or import tariff. Sometimes transit tariff could be there, and other form of different taxes are being there. Now when we are talking about non-tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers are called as the different sort of restrictions that are being imposed during the international trade, okay, by means of several countries. It should be in the form of quotas, subsidies, or other forms of restrictions that can be imposed on the different countries, those who are involved in the international trade. Both trade barriers and non-trade barriers plays a very important role in the promotion of international trade, or sometimes it will hamper the growth of international trade. Because of what? If these taxes, duties, or restrictions, okay, which are not favorable particularly for the promotion of that international trade, okay, in that case the exports and import will hamper in between the countries, and therefore these trade barriers sometimes would be the problem for many of the countries. Let us have a discussion on that tariff barriers. So there are two types of barriers. The first one is tariff barriers. Okay. Tariff barriers are specially called as the duties and taxes that are imposed on internationally traded goods and services. Those goods, commodities, or services which are internationally traded across the varieties of nations. Okay. So countries those who are trading these different goods, commodities, or services, they are imposing some different duties or taxes on each other. That trade barrier would be called as tariff barriers. So in general, tariff means what? Different sort of duties and taxes. For example, direct taxes on import. So government should impose some sort of direct taxes on import, that is called as import duty. So that will be the tariff barrier. Particularly if we came to know about this tariff barrier, primarily before the emergence of WTO, that time there was a GATT, okay, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. Even prior to GATT, okay, say for example in 1945, okay, there were 25% of tariff has been imposed on these different traded goods and commodities in between the nations. After the emergence of WTO, okay, the tariff has been reduced, and today on an average 5% tariff has been imposed on the internationally traded goods and commodities or services across the varieties of nations. We also came to know that, okay, countries those who are being involved in this international trade, primarily the importer country, okay, that has been primarily suffered from these different types of trade barriers, primarily the tariff barriers as well as non-tariff barriers. So whenever these tariff rates are high, okay, most of the developing countries facing some problems in regard to, okay, the import of that particular goods, commodities, or services. Say for example, India India being a developing nation, initially we face a lot of problems that are being associated with the highest tariff, okay, which are being related with the imports. So government wants to promote the international trade by means of using increasing the exports across the variety of nations, but simultaneously we need to be think that India is not an indigenous country and we need to import the goods and other form of services as well as commodities from other nations. If we are talking about which particular country those are having the highest tariff across the world, some countries, say for example Bahamas, okay, those are having highest tariff across the world, okay, nearly 30% on all goods as well as other form of services and commodities. Similarly, if you want to exchange the goods, say for example agricultural goods, okay, or some sort of automobile goods from in between the countries, say for example Australia, okay, or US, so they are also imposing some sort of tariffs, okay, on automobile goods as well as agricultural goods. Even some other highly developed countries, say for example Japan, okay, so Japan will also impose some sort of tariff whenever they will exchange the goods to Australia. Now it depends on their mutual negotiation or what sort of bilateral or multilateral trade agreements that was happen with these countries. So when we are talking about this tariff, okay, most of the countries, okay, were having highest tariff rates, okay, across the many of the nations, and that could hamper the growth of the international trade. Now, in regard to promote the international trade, okay, there were two international institutions were emerged. The first one was called as GATT, and GATT was converted into WTO. So WTO specifically works for elimination of that tariff barriers. Okay. So these tariff barriers need to be removed, okay, or need to be decreased, okay, right now, particularly after the Uruguay rounds, okay, these tariff barriers has been reduced. Nowadays, most of the countries they are charging nearly, okay, 5% of tariffs across many of the nations. So WTO specifically works for the elimination of tariff barriers, and as well as they started to promote the international trade across many of the nations. Similar to tariff barriers, there is another form of barrier that is called as non-tariff barriers. This is called as NTBs, non-tariff barriers. Now these non-tariff barriers are some different forms of trade restrictions, okay, which can be imposed on the trading nations, those who are involved in the international trade, by means of using import licensing, import quotas, foreign exchange regulations, and canalization of imports. Now it depends on the individual country's federal structure and what form of policy measures that they were implemented within their nations, or particularly what forms of reforms took places in the various countries, and what form of trade restrictions that they were imposed on these trading nations. So these are the some sort of trade restrictions, okay, that can be imposed by the trading nations on each other. So it should be in the form of either, suppose say, licensing, import quotas, foreign exchange regulations, and canalization of imports. This canalization of imports is to be says that, okay, there are some specific authorities within the country through which you can import some particular goods, okay, within that particular nation. Say for example in India, you can import some particular form of goods or other form of commodities by means of using STC, State Trading Corporation of India. Some other form of restrictions are supposed to be there, okay, that are also included in the non-tariff barriers. These are called as import prohibitions, quantitative restrictions, voluntary export restraints, variable levies, multi-fiber arrangements (MFA) restrictions, and non-automatic licensing. Now these are the some specialized forms of restrictions which can be imposed on varieties of countries, okay, those who are being dealing with some particular kind of goods and services. So if we are talking about these voluntary export restraints which can be primarily imposed on some particular kind of goods and services which are being related with the animals and plants, okay, particularly that could be affect to some particular uh, type of businesses those are being relying in that particular country. So when we are talking about these non-tariff barriers, so these non-tariff barriers generally it should be in the form of export import licenses or import quotas or some different forms of foreign exchange rules and regulations and canalization of imports. Now, these non-tariff barriers are called as the protectionism. This will provide the protectionism measure to the individual country so that by means of using imposing these non-tariff barriers, the country can impose some particular form of restrictions on some another country, and they will promote their international trade. Specifically, they will promote the international trade domestically. Talking about how does that non-tariff barriers plays a very important role in the protectionism of the individual economies from the developed countries. So most of the developed countries, okay, they do promote the international trade across varieties of nations, and they will be imposing some particular form of subsidies. Say for example, US wheat subsidies or increased government participation would be there, okay, because the individual government promoting the international trade with respect to suppose say wheat or food grains, and suppose these goods has been imported in the country like India, okay, in that case, okay, it would be the problem to many of the traders, okay, or agricultural land owners specifically. These non-tariff barriers, okay, India being a developing country, they will import such kind of non-tariff barriers in the form of import duty, okay, or other forms of restrictions, okay. Those importers, those who are being looking to import suppose say wheat or food grain or some particular form of agricultural goods, so they cannot directly import, they should have to pay a huge amount of import duties, or there should be some quotas has been fixed. Now when we are talking about these quotas, so quotas are nothing but the volume of trade, okay, that can be fixed for the particular importer, okay, by means of that particular country. Even some particular procedures has been laid down, okay, and that may be related with the custom entry procedures. So countries those who are being involved in the international trade, okay, they should have to complete the custom formalities, okay, that may be related with the international trade related activities. Some particular form of restrictions right now that we are being discussed right now, that is called as quotas. So quotas are called as quantitative restrictions. So some considering the last year performance of trade, okay, depending on that how much export that we can make or how much import that we can import within the particular country, okay, depending on that the quotas has been fixed, that is called as the volume of trade. Say for example, US textile imports from China, so how much the individual country has to import, okay, from another country, that has been fixed by means of using the quotas. So these are the different forms of that NTBs, okay. So NTBs are some specialized forms of restriction which can be imposed by the particular nation, those who want to protect their individual economies and promote the domestic industries. Now talking about the different types of tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. Okay, there are varieties of tariff barriers and not non-tariff barriers. uh, these tariff barriers or non-tariff barriers would vary from the countries to countries, or depending on the federal structure of the respective countries, and whatever forms of policy measures the government has taken, okay, to promote their individual economies. This would be varied from countries to countries. So we do find that different forms of tariff barriers would be there. Some specific duties are being there. Some ad valorem duty would be there. Anti-dumping duty, counteracting duty or countervailing duty, some alternative duty or compound duty, seasonal duty, transit duty, single column duty, and other forms of charges would be there. Now these duties would be vary from country to country, and depending on they are imposing some particular forms of restrictions on the particular nations, those who are being exporting to another nations. While talking about these non-tariff barriers, okay, we will recently discuss about there are different types of quotas are fixed particularly for imports within that trading nations. Some foreign exchange regulation, technical and administrative regulations, or some consular formalities would be there. Here we need to fix the appropriate authorities through which we are being conducting the imports or exports, okay, within that particular nation. So some consulate offices are being set up by the respective countries, so some consular formalities need to be conducted over there. Some state trading corporation, in particularly in India there is a state trading corporation or some other procurement agencies are there, so they are being procuring these goods, particularly the imported goods. Some preferential arrangements has been there, and different sort of mechanism has been developed by the government. Some sort of other restrictions in the form of import license, government time to time they will made the policy which particular goods or other commodities that they need to import within the particular country. Even trading blocks, okay, so these are called as the regional trading blocks, okay, from which we can import or we can export to that particular nation. Canalization of trade, so here we will fix the authority from which we should have to import within the nation. Some other sort of barriers would be there, that is called as non-tariff barriers, okay, countries those who are being involved in the war like situations, so sometimes we will find out some economic wars or political wars due to their poor economic conditions, or political instabilities, okay, or prior import deposits would be there, custom regulation, sanitary and psychosanitary regulations, and other sort of certifications would be there. Now these different tariff barriers as well as non-tariff barriers would vary from countries to countries, and they were formulated according to their rules and regulations or policy measures that they were implemented. Talking about which particular trade barrier would be more effective in the form of promotion of the international trade, or that will also gives the protectionism measure to the individual country. So here non-tariff barriers, okay, here under these non-tariff barriers the individual countries also frame their monetary and non-monetary economic policies over there, and they do protect their individual economies and promote the domestic trade within the nations. Then we are talking about the impact of non-tariff barriers specifically, because that non-tariff barriers are the some different or specialized forms of restrictions which can be imposed by the respective country. Non-tariff barriers are they are called as less transparent, or they could not understood by many of the exporting countries. So because it is in the form of rules and regulations and policies, it would create some major impact particularly on the exporting countries, okay. Many of the countries those who are having those do not have a standardized language, or there is a multi-linguistic phenomena, okay, due to which what happened, okay, most of the rules, regulations, policies, okay, they are in their own languages, and it could not be studied appropriately by many of the nations. So we do find out that there is lots of difficulty because there is a lesser transparency, as well as some sort of difficulty with respect to what particular goods or services or commodities which can be exported, and what are their quotas or others form of restrictions which are not cleared very easily. It usually discriminate against the lowest cost sources of imports. Okay, many nations, those who are being involved in this international trade, they would primarily discriminate their trading operations on the basis of NTBs, okay, non-tariff barriers. As these countries, okay, they vary in their socio-cultural perspective, okay, and they will prefer some particular nations. Say for example, they will prefer the to conduct the international trade from the nearby nations. So most of the country, those who are being looking for the lowest cost sources of imports, countries those who are being importing from the nearby, okay, they do primarily discriminate, okay, by means of imposing some sort of restrictions. So we do find some sort of difficulty, okay, countries who are being developing or least developed nations, so they do find the difficulty to trade with the another country. This will also influence the reduction of average tariff levels in industrial countries. Countries those who are being highly advanced, or they are being industrially ahead, okay, as far as compared to the developing nations, so they do require to reduce the tariff, okay, particularly say for example India. India is one of the trading partner with many of the advanced countries, okay, and many advanced countries, they are looking that, okay, they would the India would reduce the tariff, okay, whenever we are making an international trade with these highly developed countries. So we do find some sort of difficulties over there, but we need to conduct the international trade, so we need to fix the appropriate form of tariff levels across the many of the industrial nations. Say for example, okay, there are large trading partners, even US, China, Russia, okay, or Europe. Okay, here we need to manage our tariff level with these different continents, as well as different trading blocks over there, and try to formulate our different sort of non-tariff barriers, so that we can simultaneously safeguard our businesses, safeguard our domestic businesses, and promote the international trade with these nations. When we are talking about how does it will affect to the different countries, specifically developing countries, okay, countries those who are being imposing the higher restrictions, okay, in the form of tariff or non-tariff barriers, so we do find some sort of difficulties, especially by means of using developing countries. So developing countries, say for example India, will face the difficulties particularly with those countries, those who are being imposing some higher tariff, or some difficult forms of restriction. So we do find, okay, some sort of difficulties too, okay, related to import policy barriers would be there. So this may be affected some sort of, okay, the import related activities within the country, even some other sort of procedures which are being required in the promotion of international trade, some appropriate standards, testing, labeling, and other certification requirements are they are making compulsory. There are some other sort of taxes and duties in the form of anti-dumping measures. Okay, we were already discussed about that anti-dumping measures. Some countervailing measures would be there, so that they can counter trade with another nations. So countries those who are being charging some higher prices, so we need to identify some other exporters or importers from which that we can export or import from them. Okay, here we are also looking for some export subsidies, particularly to promote the domestic trade. Okay, so that we can support the domestic market of the individual countries. They would likely to support the domestic market and promote the domestic trade within the nations. Or if the government are being the procuring agency over there, so in that case it would be get affected to certain extent. But here countries those who are charging the higher tariff or other forms of restrictions, we primarily identifying the effective country from which we should have to import or export. Okay, and then finally we will decide. Some other forms of NTBs that we will recently discuss: anti-dumping measures, countervailing procedures, sanitary and psychosanitary sanctions, quota restrictions, environmental clauses, and some other intellectual property rights hampering the exports. Now, say for example, in medicines, most of the intellectual property rights are under the control of US and other highly advanced countries. So they are imposing some sort of restrictions on them. And how does the India will deal with them? Okay. Recently, we West also started exporting the corona vaccine to many of the countries. Okay, and other sort of medicine to many of the countries. So there are different sort of agreements or bilateral or multilateral trade agreements and other form of trade treaties. So depending on that, okay, lots of measures has been take place. Okay, and we do try to promote the international trade by means of reducing the tariff and other forms of restrictions. The another topic of our today's discussion is general agreement on tariff and trade. This is called as GATT. Now GATT is one of the first important agreement, okay, particularly which was developed to promote the international trade. So this is called as the first free trade agreement. It was the first free trade agreement that will eliminate the tariff and increase the international trade. This form of agreement has been formulated within certain group of countries. So initially we do find there were 23 countries where the member countries, okay, they were mutually comes together and formulated one contract, and or it is called as agreement, and that agreement is called as a multilateral trade agreement. So that's why GATT is a set of multilateral trade agreement that will be aimed at abolition of quotas and reduction of tariff duties among the contracting members. So these countries comes together and formulated some particular form of agreement, and that agreement is called as multilateral trade agreement. So GATT was primarily formulated to eliminate the tariff as well as to abolish the quota restrictions across these member countries. Member countries, those who primarily comes under the contract with this GATT agreement, okay, they do agreed on some other terms and conditions, primarily to reduce the tariff or to eliminate the tariff to certain extent, okay, and as well as to abolish the quota restrictions. Okay, in case of quota, that we are fixing the volume of trade in between the countries. So such form of restrictions has been reduced by these member countries so as to promote the international trade. So GATT was the first and the foremost trade agreement, okay, which was formulated to promote the international trade in between the nations. So initially there were 23 countries were involved. Now when does the GATT was formulated? The GATT was formulated on 30th October 1947, okay, by 23 nations in Geneva, and it was the first worldwide multilateral trade agreement that will be helping to support the international trade by means of elimination of tariff and trade, as well as to reduce the quota restrictions across member countries. Now, how long the that GATT was in existence? Okay, GATT was formed on 30th October 1947 and it came in effect from January 1st, 1948. So from January 1st, 1948 to January 1st, 1995, it was in the existence. Okay, so GATT was in the existence till 1995. After January 1st, 1995, okay, it was replaced by WTO, okay, World Trade Organization, on 14th April 1994, okay, wherever there were 123 nations, okay, they meet on the Uruguay round. This is called as a Uruguay round agreement. That Uruguay round agreement formulated, okay, one multilateral trade agreement in between 123 nations on 14th April 1994. That agreement would replace GATT into WTO. Okay, so this was one of the major move in the promotion of international trade in between the varieties of nations. So WTO has been emerged, okay, particularly to promote the international trade across the various nations. Now, why does the GATT was formulated? Okay, we know about tariff. Okay, we know about different types of barriers, even also tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers also. The purpose of the GATT has been there to eliminate the different sort of tariff as well as other form of restrictions, okay, those who are called as trade barriers. Okay, so those who are being affecting the promotion of the international trade wherever, okay, GATT has been worked. So GATT has been primarily formulated to reduce or to eliminate the harmful trade protectionism across the various nations and try to promote the international trade with the contracting parties. Here the contracting parties are nothing but the member countries. Okay, so whenever the GATT was formulated, there were 23 member countries were there and they were agreed on the other terms and conditions where they do meet mutually and agreed with certain mutual agreement in between them. So they were agreed on reducing they were reducing the tariff as well as quotas, okay, by means of which they try to promote the international trade. When we are talking about the GATT, okay, GATT members, mostly those who are belonging to the GATT specifically, some of the member countries are very highly advanced countries. So initially they were not in a position to reduce the tariff with certain other member countries, say for example developing countries. So being India being a developing countries and countries those who are being traded with the India, so they are primarily not in favor of reducing the tariff towards other developing countries like India. So we came to know that, okay, tariff of various countries, okay, those who are being traded with some other countries was very high. Okay, so in 1945 there was 25% tariff has been charged to the other member countries, okay, which was reduced to 22% in 1947. But after the Uruguay round and formulation, okay, of WTO, okay, or conversion of GATT into WTO, most of the countries they were reduced this tariff to 5%. Once the tariff has been reduced, okay, this will be helpful in promoting the international trade whenever these taxes, duties and other sort of restrictions has been reduced. So this will helpful to many of the countries to promote the international trade, okay, by means of increasing the exports and reducing the imports in the member countries. Countries those who are being not they are self reliant, okay, they need to import, okay, from some other countries. So these countries are charging some tariff, but that tariff rate has been also reduced to 5%. So when we are talking about the GATT, okay, why was the GATT was being formulated primarily? So we will call it is the fundamental principle of GATT was trade without discrimination. So without discriminating, without any discrimination in between the member countries, okay, we need to we need to conduct the international trade, okay, by means of reducing the tariff or by mutually involved in the bilateral or multilateral trade agreement, okay, that was being one of the fundamental principle of the GATT. So here without any discrimination, the individual countries they should comes in contact with each other and formulate the bilateral or multilateral trade agreement and asking for the promotion of international trade by means of using exports or imports of various goods and other commodities or services. Now these are the different GATT rounds, okay, which were held in various cities. So we came to know since the GATT was being formulated since 1947 to September 1986, how does the tariff has been reduced to various countries? Whenever we are talking about the initial trade agreement of GATT, okay, the Geneva round took place nearly 7 months, and there were 23 nations were there. Okay, the subject matter of the discussion was tariff, and 45,000 tariff concessions has been given. Okay, that will be affecting nearly $10 billion of trade. So nearly $10 billion of trade subsidies has been given by the GATT initially. After that, different rounds were took places and number of tariff concessions has been given by many of the countries, and on an average whenever we came to know about the Uruguay round, okay, in that Uruguay round, okay, the GATT has been converted into WTO. Okay, there were 123 nations were there, okay, and Uruguay round was took place nearly 87 months, okay, and highest amount of tariff and other form of concession has been given by the formulation of WTO or conversion of GATT into WTO. So here we came to know all these international institutions means GATT or as well as WTO, okay, they are in promotion of the international trade across many of the nations, and various form of provisions has been made under this GATT as well as the WTO. So tariff as well as non-tariff measures, rules, regulations, services, intellectual property rights, dispute settlement machinery, okay, related to other sort of products, suppose say textile, agriculture, as well as creation of WTO comes under this Uruguay round, okay. And finally, what was the achievement during this Uruguay round? Okay, we were formulated the WTO, World Trade Organization, wherever that World Trade Organization was in favor of major reduction in tariff about 40%, okay, and agriculture subsidies has been given to certain nations. Most favored nation clause MFA clauses has been introduced particularly for certain industries, say for example those who are being importing or exporting textiles and clothing related products. Some other sort of provisions related to extension of intellectual property rights, okay, particularly in the form of technological goods as well as goods which are being related with some pharmaceutical or health related measures has been took places. So during these GATT rounds, okay, number of measures took places by these varieties of countries for the promotion of this international trade. Now what form of provisions has been took places by these GATT specifically? So initially we are talking about the most favored nation clause, okay. So this most favored nation clause has been introduced by the GATT. Okay, countries those who are being involved in the international trade, they do think about the appropriate member country to whom exactly they can conduct the international trade. Simultaneously, countries those who are being residing to the nearby countries, okay, here many of the member countries, okay, they have given the most favored nation importance to some other countries simultaneously, depending on this clause with respect to which are being available under the GATT as well as WTO. Okay, India also given some sort of status to certain other countries, say for example, most favored nation to some countries, those who are being involved with the international trade with India. Last year there was a Pulwama attack and government of India has withdrawn the most favored nation status from the one of the country that is called as Pakistan. So in case of that most favored nation, okay, the most favored nation has been introduced particularly to not to discriminate in between the member countries and to conduct the international trade, okay, equally, by means of reducing the tariff, okay, and by means of that we are giving some sort of uh, importance to some countries to whom that we are involved in the international trade. It excluded some other form of special tariff among the certain countries. So we will call it is British Commonwealth countries and other custom unions are there. We will discuss this custom union in the forthcoming sessions and permitted some particular form of tariff, okay, if there is a removal would cause some serious injury to the domestic producers. So here some particular form of clauses has been there, okay, particularly in the form of say special tariff has been introduced uh, to the member countries, those who are being involved in the international trade with British Commonwealth, as well as some other form of custom unions. These are primarily dealing with some that is called as the trading blocks. So here whenever we are talking about the custom union, we are introducing some various trading blocks. So these are there are the various regional trading blocks to which we should have to conduct the international trade. Okay, we will discuss in the forthcoming session. The another kind of provision has been there to GATT has been prohibited the restrictions on number of imports and exports. So there are some particular form of goods as well as commodities and some sort of services has been made some particular form of exceptions. So which particular form of import or exports has been took places, okay, by means of using the provisions of this GATT, and and the GATT has been prohibited and they will impose some sort of restrictions, because these restrictions they are primarily decided particularly to protect the individual economies of the nations. Here the country like the developing country, say for example India, they need to promote their agriculture, okay, India being an agricultural nation, okay, our agrarian economy, we need to promote our agriculture, okay, and when the government had a surplus of agriculture products only, then and then only they can make an export of that particular goods. That clause can be included under the GATT. If a country needed to protect its balance of payment, okay, balance of payment problem is a major phenomena in most of the international trade related activities, wherever we do find the trade balances with respect to many of the nations. India also fighting with the balance of payment problems, and we do find the trade deficit with respect to many of the countries. Say for example, we are largely importing the goods from China, so we do have a huge trade balances with respect to certain countries, say for example China. So countries those are fighting with the problem of that balance of trade, and they do have lower form of foreign exchange reserve. So such kind of countries can be prohibited from the international trade with respect to import of goods, import and export of certain type of goods and other commodities. Emerging market countries that needed to protect from some leading industries. Some emerging market countries, say for example, recently we are talking about BRICS nations, but BRICS nations are the uh, developing nations now, right now. So initially, whenever the countries have been passing through the different stages of their economies, okay, so we do find some individual problems with respect to some flooding industries within the domestic market. So here, the individual countries that they would decide whether they want to involve in the international trade or not. Okay, that provision has been included under the GATT. Talking about the various forms of these provisions which are mentioned under the GATT, some other forms of provisions that may restrict the form of international trade due to some sort of reasons, okay, which are being related with the national security or other forms, okay, which can be related with the intellectual property rights by means of using some protecting patents or copyrights, or which are being in favor of the public morals. So here that provision can be also included under the GATT, where the international trade can be restricted due to the problem of national security and other intellectual property. The third provision has been added under 1965. Okay, particularly this form of provision has been in favor of the developing countries. So countries those who are being conducting the international trade with developing nations. So this provision has been added in 1965. So that was because more developing countries joined GATT and it wishes to promote them. GATT was in favor of the promotion of international trade from developing countries also. But most of the developed nations, most of the highly advanced countries, okay, they are not in favor of the promotion of international trade from the developing nations or least developed nations. Developing countries they were initially agreed to eliminate the tariff on imports of the developing countries to promote the individual economies of these countries. So initially they were agreed, and later on, okay, particularly the advanced countries, they were charged some higher tariff on the developing countries, okay, and due to which it creates some economic problem within the developing countries, and most of the developing countries asking about some sort of more provisions, okay. So particularly uh, in the Uruguay round, the GATT has been converted into WTO. It was also in the stronger countries' best interest in the long run. Okay, it would increase the number of middle class consumers throughout the world. So most of the developing nations, those who are in favor of promotion of international trade with other countries, so they are looking for some more form of provisions, okay, particularly to promote the international trade from developing countries. And GATT was initially a better um, option, okay, wherever WTO was not formed. So GATT has provided a forum for the discussion for many of the member countries, and they do come together, and finally the decision could take place so as to convert that GATT into WTO, so as to formalize some rules and regulations by means of removal of trade barriers or restrictions on the international trade, so as to promote the international trade in between the nations. So that's all for our today's session. Thank you very much.